Hi, my name is Jan Vodopivec. I work at Celtra as a senior QA. And today I will talk about migrating mobile test automation framework to a CI environment. So in this presentation, I will quickly tell you what we do at Celtra and about one of our test frameworks. We have more than one. And how that framework looked in the past, how it looks now, and how it will look in the future if everything goes to plan. So Celtra is a software company that created software that enables clients to easily build advanced and engaging digital ads. We have two types of clients. They are either publishers looking to monetize their content, like MBCU or Vice, and the other type is brands. So like Adidas or Spotify, who try to localize their advertising and build multiple varieties of ads. Besides ads creation, our main responsibility is also real-time ad serving. So we are serving millions of ads per day, and this has to work all the time. So RTA, or Runner Test Automation, is one of the frameworks we use. It is used for testing ad loading, rendering, and interaction. Runner is a part of Celtra that is where the ads load, and RTA is a functional end-to-end testing which imitates the user. So here on the right is an example of test. So now the test is loaded. If we click on it, yeah, you can go. So the test is loaded, we click on it, it expands, then we interact with the ad and then close it. Each of these steps is validated by image comparison. So we mostly use image comparison for validating the test steps, and we have thousands of pre-recorded reference images. So it's a lot to maintain. So what else can RTA do? It can rerun the failed tests, as basically any framework probably. It can open ads in different environments. Environment here means web inline, where ads are usually served. We also have our internally developed preview, and ads are also served in apps or in web views and on other places. So it can do all of that. RTA can also check network traffic. In some of the tests, we validate that the correct network requests are sent, and it can also rewrite network responses to mock the responses. And at the end of the execution, of course, it can generate a report which shows the reason for failed tests. The most common reason is here on the right, so the failed image comparison. Expected image should be without this Celtra logo, and the actual image on the device's screen had Celtra logo, and the report then shows the difference image, which shows what is different. So RTA is written in Python, and it can use either eggplant functional, Appium, or Selenium for test execution. We use nowadays just eggplant functional because everything was too much to maintain. And we started with eggplant a few years back, but we have, I don't know, at least a half of it supported also in Appium. We have this installed in the office. So this is a complex setup. We have one control computer, which is an iMac, and it is connected to 4 mobile devices and one desktop device, which runs tests on 4 different desktop browsers also. So the sample setup for eggplant functional is that iMac, which is the control computer, needs some tool for communication with mobile devices, in this case for Android ADB or Android Debug Bridge, and Xcode for iOS devices. Then we need also the tool for test execution, which is eggplant functional. And eggplant functional also needs some tools to communicate with the devices to execute commands, which are called gateways. And then at the end, we have different Android and different iOS devices which execute the tests in different browsers. So you can see many things can go wrong then. And yeah, it does. So in the past, we actually had 6 devices. And we had 4,500 tests, and that took 3.5 hours. On a good day, really good day, there were 15 fails. And on a bad day, everything failed. It was just too much to maintain because of all the images and everything, so we decided to remove 2 devices. This means that there were less images and less devices to maintain, so we went down to 3,300 tests and went soon back. But because we had less devices and still approximately the same number of features to test, this took longer, so it took 4.5 hours, and the number of fails were still the same. But yeah, the maintenance was easier a bit. So on the good days, the most common issues were rendering differences because we rely on image comparison and we do it pixel by pixel. This happened a lot on the right. So you have like 3 pixel wide border in red color, and browser sometimes decides that it will be rendered a bit differently. And on the right, it is, instead of the red, it is something between red and black. So it is orange, and this means that the test fails. So this is the most common issue, but it is not the most problematic. The most problematic are, for example, pop-ups, because we rely on image comparison. If you get one pop-up, for example, you need to sign in Apple ID, this means that everything will fail. So the test won't be executed on that device for that run. We also had many network issues, and we didn't know why. We had devices disconnecting from Eggplant or from their gateways, and the execution just stalled or stopped. And we also had the devices that locked themselves. So that was just too much, and we decided to remove the redundant combination of tests. What this means, for example, we were testing one component, and we have multiple formats. And we were testing this component on multiple formats, and on multiple devices, and in multiple environments, and so on. So if something failed or something went wrong with component, it should fail across multiple environments or devices, and it did. So we could trim it down a bit. So we did, and we went to 2,000 tests and 1.5 or 1 hour, 40 minutes execution time, which was much better. And we also reduced the number of tests to about 10 or 5 to 10 fails on an execution basis. So it was better. But we still had these environment issues that I said. So for pop-ups, we had something like this. So for pop-ups, what we do, we check the network traffic and we check the potential network requests that trigger pop-up, and we try to block them. But it's always the same, and you just have to block new network requests. But that's what we do. So each time if something appears, we try to block every request that could potentially bring the pop-up. So yeah, in the last few months, I don't think we had any pop-up, so success in this thing. We also had issues, like I said before, with Eggplant and devices disconnecting and memory leaks from their side and so on. So we decided that we will basically kill the Eggplant and everything connected to it at the start of execution, then restart it, and only then connect the devices to the gateways. We had also network issues, as I said, so we installed a new access point with the network completely separated from the office network, and it everything got better. I mean, we don't have network issues anymore at all. We don't know what caused them before because network was working, but RTA did not. And we also implemented detection of consecutive fails. So if on one device, if multiple tests fails on succession, we detect this, we disconnect the device, we stop the execution on that device, and then we reconnect it. It actually helps a lot, probably because many issues are Eggplant-based, and the disconnection and reconnection helps. But also, after the whole execution ends, if there are any fails, we again rerun all the failed tests. So those 5 or 10 that maybe failed or maybe did not, we rerun them again, and usually they pass. So we still have some flaky tests, but we are working on it, and nowadays it looks pretty good. We have, I don't know, maybe 1 or maximum 2 failed issues in the first run, but with rerun, this is handled, so we have sometimes successful execution. So then 14th of June happened, and a miracle. And after more than 3.5 years of developing RTA, we had the first execution with 0 fails. So this is from report, all zeros, it looked nice. This happened again a few times in the summer, so I think we had, I don't know, 10 executions without any fail in the summer, and in the last 2 months we have 4 out of 5 executions which are completely successful without any fail. We still have about 2,000 tests and 1.5 hours of execution. But of course, we are still not happy. We are QAs, and we always see something that needs improvement. Up until this point, or until the end of this year, we have weekly deploys. Before, with RTA execution 4 hours long, we could not do any better. And now with 1 hour and 40, we could maybe do. But 1 hour and 40 for daily execution, it's still a lot, because you need to do also some other work. So we split the test to the absolutely essential ones, which we will run on pre-deploy. And they took 40 minutes, and other tests we will run after deploy, so that will take another 1 hour. But yeah, how to do this? So we decided that manual working and manually executing RTA and checking everything will not be good. We will drown in the work. So we set 3 tasks. So one is setting up the environment for running, one is running the RTA on release candidates, and one is also obtaining the results. All of this has to be done automatically, because otherwise there will be just too much work if we go to daily deploys. So for setting up an environment in this case means the environment where Celtra app lies. So we have multiple servers, and before, for the pre-deploy, we manually set up a staging environment, which was pretty similar to production. It took multiple hours, or at least a day, sometimes also to spawn. And it was also used for some other tests, like analytics and for some other cases. We realized that for RTA, we don't need that. We can just spawn a simpler environment from our CI provider automatically, and the other test will be executed somewhere else. We don't care about this. We just care about RTA, and other people, we care about other tests. So in this simpler environment, we can just execute these essential features that RTA is supposed to test, and it is good enough for us. So this is 1 down and 2 to go. So before, when we have this staging environment, we had to wait for staging environment to be ready. This has to be communicated to us, and we have to go to the computer, to iMac, to start the execution, or if you're working remotely, you just connect it to that computer and run the execution. So we also then have to wait a few hours and then check the results, and if something fails, you have to rerun the test, and then also notify other team members that everything is okay if it is, and that they can turn down the staging stack, because a lot of money is wasted on it if it is left on. And we did not want to do this manually, so we were trying to find a way to do this automatically, and we then realized that our CI provider, the Circle CI, has this feature called self-hosted runners, which let you run the test jobs on your own infrastructure. Simply speaking, you just install a daemon on your computer, and this daemon pings the Circle CI constantly and just checks what it has to do. So Circle CI then says what it has to do, and this daemon does it. Basically, in our case, this was running a specific command for starting the execution. And yeah, another thing that was left to do was automatically checking the report. So before, yeah, we have to wait. We had to then check the reports, and then we had to notify other team members. And then we realized that with those self-hosted runners, we can maybe modify RTA a bit and use them for the reports also. So we modified RTA in a way that it now returns the exit code, which shows the status of the whole execution. So the test job will be at the end either pass or fail. And it also prints out a short execution summary, so with the number of fails if there are any. Also, in the circle, the report is then linked if anybody wants to check the full report. If not, you just see the status, pass or fail, and this is it. But as I said before, we have this in the office. It is still not ideal for CI. We can just run one execution at a time because we have one setup there. And we want to run multiple. We also want to test some feature branches. So we also currently we need physical devices to write tests, because we have physical devices in the office where the tests are actually running. And yeah, we have actually 2 sets of devices, one for the execution, which are always in the office and ready to test, and one at home for test writing. They are almost identical. They should be identical. They are same devices, same OS, same browser, but if you run the test, some tests will fail. Why? I don't know. They do. So there are some differences, yeah. And we also currently have these reference images, thousands of them. So if you update one device, like OS from Android 10 to Android 11, you have to waste a week to basically recapture all the reference images, validate they are correct, so it's just too much work. And that's why we also don't maintain the devices regularly, and I think the last time the browsers were updated was last year. So yeah, not really good. So our ideas for the future are parallelism, so we want to run multiple executions at the same time. We also want, of course, get rid of the physical devices because they're expensive, and we don't want any device maintenance. Image comparison is nice, of course, but it just takes so much work to do it, and we want tests to be driven by HTML object detection. And of course, for all of this, we want to also to be included in the CI, so we can have all the setup in the CI and not in our office. Yeah. We are already talking actually with some of the vendors which offer cross-browser testing platforms in the cloud. So our plan is maybe to do this future RTA in the next year. And yeah, if this would be done, yeah, it would be great. So this is all from my side today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you have any ideas or suggestions for our future implementations, please share them. But yeah, that's it. So thanks for your attention.
Well, firstly, I would like to say thank you, Jan, and thank you guys for enabling Adidas to keep spamming me about the fact that I really need to buy those Adidas Ultra Boost sneakers on the Black Friday sale. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And I do, on a serious note, I do really appreciate the fact that you stated not only how did you set it up, but also the challenges that you're really facing, because I think that's something that we can all relate here. Especially the part where you showed the network issues. I know from our personal experience, basically once we start running our test run in the office, we have something quite similar, but on Appium, the Slack channel office Zagreb starts burning up, like, guys, why is internet down, why is nothing working, why is everything slow? So yeah, I can relate to that. But as Jan said, any questions, any comments for him?
Regarding the image comparison, did you consider allowing some tolerance, or you are insisting on pixel perfect?
So we have pixel by pixel comparison. That means that one pixel on coordinate, I don't know, 1010 has to match with the pixel on coordinate 1010. We allow tolerance on RGB component, so we allow tolerance of 45 by each of these components, but otherwise, no, we don't allow this image shifting or something like that. I know that Eggplant has this implemented, but since we could also, in theory, use other frameworks, we didn't implement this.
So
Who's first? You can go first.
okay. So you're saying that you will try to move to virtual devices. There are some plus and minuses to that. Have you considered those? Because like Xamarin insisted like their cloud test-based solution is based on actual devices, because they said that virtual devices will not detect some issues.
Yeah, we are considering that. I mean, yeah, these providers, they they offer two options, either simulators or real devices. I mean, in our case, it is great that we don't have to deal with this. So we just want those devices to be ready always and no issues with them. So yeah, we were thinking that there could be potential issues if we test on simulators, but probably not. I mean, we have also other tests in place to detect this. And currently the idea is to go with the simulators.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, yeah, so what's the current process for reference image creation? So is someone like manually opening the heads of...
No, so we have, like the execution, we also have different modes. So we have execution mode and reference mode. So in execution, for example, the test that I shown before, you have the banner and you click on it when it is detected and then expand. So in the capture mode, we have basically timeouts. So we open the page, the first page with the ad. We wait, 10 seconds, then capture the image. We click, again wait 10 seconds. So we get all these images, and we have this internally developed tool that you open in the browser and basically just shows you images side by side, and they're different. So if nothing is different, you don't need to replace them. If something is just shifted, you will see that it's shifted, and you can easily replace them. But still, you get, I think that if you update all the images for one device, this is 1,000 images, and you can just click, 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 click. I mean, you can, but even that takes, an hour. So yeah.
So it's up to the developer, the tester to notify that the border changed from red to orange.
I mean, no, these are our test ads. So this detects the RTA itself. So when we run it, we see that there are issues or that the border is rendered differently, and usually if you run, it won't be anymore. So sorry.
When it's recapturing the new set of reference images.
No, you get all the images, and then if you would run for some tests that there weren't any any difference in the images, you would still get them side by side. So we didn't implement this that if images are the same, they are skipped. So it doesn't notify you for only the images that are different. You have to go through all.
You mentioned physical devices. My question would be, how important for you is to use physical devices? I mean, we have many different devices, and is it important for you to test multiple physical devices, or it can be any device, whether virtual or any other?
I mean, historically speaking, like a few years ago, there were really many differences between devices, between the browsers and everything. But currently, I am rooting for the simulators because the browsers are so similar now. A lot is based on Chromium. You have Safari then in simulator, which is also one of the most common, and it should work the same. So in my opinion, I am more for simulators. You can ask Uroš if he has any other preferences. But I would go with simulators. I think it should be enough.
Statistics, how many issues you have found in actual application or features? Because you mentioned a lot of issues with tests itself, but I'm more interested in actual issues.
For the issues, no, we don't have statistics. What I said about the runs, we have those daily runs. So daily runs in production environment, and there should be no issues. So also before that, we run on staging, so before it is deployed, and any potential issues are caught there also. And even before that, for some features that could potentially break something, we also run RTA. So in production, it should come like issue-free, but we still had like 10 or 15 fails, which are causes of these are flaky tests and environment issues, but we don't have any other statistic.
And do you have manual testers in your team?
Yeah, we can't automate everything, and it is not valuable to automate everything because for some smaller features or something that is not worth automating, we just check manually.
We are more manual testers and we do test automation as well.
Yes.
So, the best way to learn the product and then write tests for it is to use it, right? And the most straightforward way to do that is, you know, by testing it. Right?
Is it hard to focus on one thing?
Yeah. Many times, it's a challenge, right? But it's hard, I mean, it doesn't go one without the other, right?
We tried that, and now we have two teams. We have a manual test automation team, and on the same project, and yeah, we are combining them. It's easier to maintain the focus and to invest time in educating themselves and to develop framework and this kind of stuff. I mean, it's much easier for us than to have like combination of two.
Yeah, we were on this crossroad a few years back, I guess. But yeah, we took a different path. So it's working out. I think it's like it's challenging, as you said, right? But it's also at the same time satisfactory. Like there's a lot of satisfaction into doing different kind of work. Right?
Any other questions?
So apart from image comparison, do you also validate tracking, so impression tracking, and click tracking, or this is not? This is not part of the RTA. So we validate the requests that are sent. So when you click on our ad, basically the tracking request is sent, and we validate that part. But then we have a completely different test for actually analyzing this. So for analytics tests, we have these separated. So we basically attach just this, that the ad actually triggers the request, but not anything else.
If no one else has a question or comment, let's give one last round of applause.